Ambassador Bolton, very good to have you on the show. Can I ask what you think this means for the conduct of the campaign itself, 2 attempted assassinations in a relatively short period of time?
Well, it's obviously a very dangerous situation. We don't know a lot about yesterday's incident. I would say it could well be a copycat provoked by what happened in Pennsylvania some weeks back. There's no apparent connection between the 2 shooters, except they both appear to have some kind of mental problem. And I think this is a broad issue that that should trouble everybody, because somebody who can be prompted by watching others attempt assassinations could try it themselves, not against Donald Trump, but against Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, who knows what. And I think does indicate there needs to be an increase in the level of Secret Service protection. Whether this benefits Trump substantially remains to be seen. But it's entirely possible, because there are people who think that there's a conspiracy out to get him, and that the 2 assassination attempts are related. As I say, I see no evidence of that at the moment, but that's not stopping other people.
I mean, the style of American presidential campaigning is very much to be out there, to have these big rallies, to be seen by people. Is that going to be stopped for the time being because of what's happened on both sides, I guess?
No, I don't think so. Trump was just playing golf on Sunday. That's, I mean, that raises other questions about the level of protection and what he's doing. But you know, if you go back to John Kennedy's assassination in 1963, he was riding in an open car in a motorcade through Dallas. Jerry Ford was shot doing a rope line, shaking people's hands during his presidency. Ronald Reagan was shot coming out of the hotel after giving a speech. Politicians want to be near people. They don't want to be in bubble wrap. And look, it's agony for the Secret Service. Here, in this case, I think it's important for people to understand. They saw the muzzle of a rifle through a chain link fence and opened fire immediately. They didn't go through any approval process or anything like that. I wonder what some people would say if they had hit the target and it turned out to be a 15-year-old girl or something like that. You know, there's undoubtedly a lot of blame to go around here in both of these incidents. They're investigating the Pennsylvania incident. I'm sure there'll be investigations here. But if somebody's crazy enough, not afraid of capture, not afraid of being killed, to get close to somebody that they want to do harm to, they're going to be able to do it.
Let me ask you about the politics of this then, because Donald Trump has been very clear. He is defiant. He's not beaten. He's going to carry on, bloodied but unbowed, as the phrase goes. Do you think this is going to help him? I mean, the race is quite narrow at the moment, quite tight.
Well, that's correct. And therefore, any development for either candidate ultimately could be decisive. We're 50 days away from the election. It's very, very close. I think most people think Trump got a bump in support after the attack in Pennsylvania. It's certainly entirely possible that will happen here as well. I do think it's interesting to look at the reaction in Congress, which is back in session. Certainly some people are saying there's a conspiracy to get Trump. But interestingly, on a bipartisan basis, which is pretty rare in Washington these days, people are saying, look, if the Secret Service needs more resources, let's get them more resources. Trump needs more protection. Probably Kamala Harris deserves more protection as well. And if the Secret Service needs help, let's find a way to give it to them. So I think that's encouraging.
And indeed, President Biden intervened as well to express his relief. So this is not a moment of kind of anger between the parties, far from it.
Well, it certainly shouldn't be, because the kinds of people who are prompted to engage in this kind of violence are not necessarily ideological. In the case of this attacker yesterday, it's true he voted for Trump in 2016, but apparently he was a supporter of Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren, and other Democrats, and has done different things and so on in social media. So what people have to understand is somebody can espouse political views and then undertake a violent act. It doesn't necessarily mean the violent act is reflective of political views. It could be reflective of a deranged mind. And so I say this copycat phenomenon should be worrying security authorities, because there are plenty of others out there who could be prompted to do the same thing.
Let me ask you about one other aspect of this campaign, which has caused an enormous amount of comment on this side of the Atlantic, which was that comment made by Donald Trump about people in Springfield having their cats and dogs eaten by migrants. J.D. Vance has now given an interview, and I'll just remind listeners what he said. He said, "If I have to create stories so the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do." That was quite an admission, wasn't it?
Well, it's a terrible thing for an American politician to say, basically, I'm going to lie to you in order to get your vote. I don't know the facts other than what I've seen on television, but I can tell you the governor of Ohio, a conservative Republican named Mike DeWine, I've known for 30 years, said, number one, the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, are there legally. They're in the United States legally. That businesses in Springfield, Ohio welcome them because they're very good workers. They're trying to revive the town, which has gone through industrial decline over the years, and that the mayor is convinced they're not eating cats and dogs. So the story is made up. This is not a hypothetical by J.D. Vance. It's entirely made up.
It's a very, very grim moment. Let me ask you on another subject, because I know you're interested in this. I was talking to Jens Stoltenberg at the beginning of the show from NATO about the dilemma faced by Britain as to whether we authorise the Ukrainians to fire Storm Shadow missiles deep into Russia, even though President Putin has threatened this means all-out war with NATO. What's your perspective?
Well, I don't think I'm revealing anything I shouldn't, but my understanding is that Storm Shadow involves licensed, protected U.S. technology, which may require our approval, and it also relies heavily on U.S. intelligence. So I know some of my fellow conservatives or Britons are saying, to hell with Joe Biden, let's just give the missiles to Ukraine anyway. I just say that's not a good precedent to set. I think Biden should have approved the use of U.S. munitions, the ATACMS and others, inside Russia long before. So it's not because I agree with Biden's lack of a decision here. I just think the allies ought to act in a strategic fashion and act together, which we haven't done effectively, honestly, in 2.5 years.
And I think a lot of the targeting of these missiles is also controlled by American technology. So your message to Boris Johnson and others who are go-it-aloners here would be, that's not practical, that's not good politics.
Yeah, look, I think you're going to have enough trouble if Donald Trump wins when everything gets cut off. Let's not provoke the beast too early.
That's a very, very wise thing to end on. Ambassador John Bolton, thanks so much for talking to me tonight.